David Ortiz talked to Rob Bradford and said, at some point, it's all about putting ego aside when talking about Devers going to DH. I'm in his corner at all times, but I want him to understand that this organization is trying to build up good players around him so he doesn't have to take the pressure at all times. Thank God they have David Ortiz. Seriously. It's a big help. And I know what people say, well, if you're a good team, you have someone else on the roster who's able to do. Yeah, well, they're not, okay? They've got a bunch of transplants that they've had to pick up along the way. They don't have the other star player with Devers that is a long-time Red Sox player that can tell him these things. So it's got to be Ortiz. You got to use him again. It is what it is, but that is an important message that he is delivering to the guys.
They traded those two guys. They let them walk at least.
Yeah. I mean, Betts was traded. Bogarts walked. If those guys are still in the mix, maybe they're the ones telling him, hey, come on. You can move
Go back and eat.
No, they're not telling him that, T-Bone.
It's true. Who's your leadership? What's your leadership, you know?
Well, you just don't have that guy.
Don't.
I did think it was interesting. A couple days ago, Devers and Ortiz were kind of having that moment where the media was taking all their pictures, and you could hear a little bit of what they were saying, and they were talking in Spanish. If you read underneath in the comments, all these people who do speak Spanish were saying Devers was essentially complaining, crying about how things had played out, and Ortiz was kind of comforting him, talking him through it, and being like, hey, you know, this is the Red Sox. They always do things last minute. This just kind of is what it is. I think that's a big reason why Ortiz was in camp for a couple days.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ortiz can relate to it because Ortiz had his own issues with the team at times. Remember the time they gifted him a pickup truck?
All the one-year deals?
All the one-year deal situation.
Acura. No, it was an Infinity.
No, he got a pickup truck, didn't he?
I thought he got an Escalade. He got an Xfinity.
What's that?
Or an Infinity.
That's cable. I don't
Jesus
think
Christ.
that's a car.
An Infinity Q, like the big one. The SUV. Q56. I think he got an Escalade. I remember an Infinity.
I think he was gifted a pickup truck at one point.
Maybe they gave him one of those too. To go back to his house and get all the belongings that he left. Remember the estate sale?
That's right.
Just left.
Oh, at least it wasn't like a Schilling estate sale.
Right.
With the bathrobe. Remember El Prez buying Schilling's bathrobe?
It's great.
I think you're right. So I think he got gifted a bunch of different cars.
Yeah.
But I remember the pickup truck one being related to like, hey, we know you're kind of disappointed in your contract looking back at that thing now. We kind of got one over on you on that thing. So have a pickup truck. Like, what?
I'll also say David Ortiz in this situation, when all the news broke that, you know, they were possibly going to put Alex Bregman at third base, he was kind of siding for Raffy through the media, saying, like, this is Rafael Devers. You treat this guy a certain way. He's a certain caliber of a player. He's your franchise star. So now that he's coming in here and kind of pushing what the Red Sox want to push on him, I think that's a big part of the equation, too. And I don't think Devers is doing himself any favors here because he was supposed to play tomorrow for the first time at DH. He's asked Cora for a couple more days. He said he's not ready through the live BPs.
All right, come on, dude. Stop being a baby. At some point, will you just go out there and play?
It's only delaying when he's going to play at third base. So now you're going to need 2 or 3 games at DH. Then you're going to go in the field. You're talking, what, like March 10th, March 9th? And Bregman still hasn't played a game at second base.
I love Raffy Devers, but, man, if you're going to be difficult and you have a 330, is that his deal? Or 313? Forget the number. 313. Milligan gave me thumbs up on both. 313.
313.
Okay. Yep. I don't know why I keep saying 330. $313 million, man. You at some point, you air your grievance. You tell them you're pissed. That's fine. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to tell your employer you think it's wrong and you don't like what they're doing and
Right.
you're pissed off. But at some point, you've got to accept, at the end of the day, these people pay me a boatload of money to do what they ask me to do. And so I'm just going to have to do what they ask me to do because I've got a guaranteed $313 million sitting here. So, all right. Make it known. Make it heard. Get it off your chest. That's not an unhealthy thing. Let them know you're pissed. And then at some point, you've got to move on.
Yeah, you just can't stay pissed. Ruins your whole year.
Maybe the team's got to do a better job selling it to him.
Right. Communication.
Sean McAdam, that's what he's been saying on Fenway Rundown. They had all these opportunities to talk to him before he even got to camp. You knew in November that Nolan Arenado was plan B. After you missed out on Juan Soto, you knew plan A was Alex Bregman. So it was going to be one of those two guys.
I think what T-Bone's saying, though, is you've got to do a good job of having him feel like it's the right thing.
We like your bat so much.
Yeah.
But that's hard when you have Christian Campbell, who has shown up to camp, and they were willing to put all this pressure saying, behind the scenes, this is the guy we want to play second base. And then he shows up to camp and he hasn't had the start you were hoping
We
for.
need your bat so badly in the lineup every day that we're going to preserve you and have you play DH, and that's it.
And we want you to take a look at how David Ortiz became a Hall of Famer. Because
Exactly.
we think you're on a track to become a Hall of Famer, but if you miss time, and again, I don't think his defense is why he's necessarily missed time, but it will be less wear and tear if you're not playing the field and with more availability and in the lineup every day. Look at how we project your next 8 years to go. And this is how we see it. Go through the presentation with him getting into the Hall of Fame or something. AI that thing up, would you?
Your teammate, J.D. Martinez, would go down in the tunnel and study hitting.
And we want you to do what he used to do. We want you to down there looking at film. And they can do that now, right? They're looking at it all the time on those tablets.
It was just 2020 that you couldn't, right?
Yeah. Scandals. We want Bregman banging on a trash can for you every time you go up.
Those loud noises in the background.
Yep.
Wow, was that tough?
Now, does that sound absurd that you got to do this for a player? Yes, but just do it.
Yeah.
And I don't think they did it. I think that opportunity is passed. But at some point, he's got to accept it. But it does sound to me like he's going to be playing third base at the start of the year.
It's very interesting. Christian Campbell now getting a third start in left field. And Cora said yesterday, it's not, it doesn't have to do anything with positioning. We want him to get at bats.
Right.
You could stagger him and Vaughn Grissom if you wanted to, just like you've been doing with Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer.
What'd you make of Christian Campbell's first base hit yesterday, Milliken?
Good swing, right to right field. Yeah. That's a lot more like the Christian Campbell you hope for. He also struck
sure
out
is.
again, which is not very Christian Campbell.
Yeah, a lot of strikeouts here.
But there is a pathway here where if Campbell's in left field and Abreu starts the season, call it a week or two late because they're scared he's going to have the Vaughn Grissom situation, you could put Duran or Rafael in right and center and just work it out that way. Hey, Devers, you get to play third base on opening day. 2 weeks later is when things are really going to change.
That's when it gets weird. That's when it gets complicated, right? And then what if let's assume the best. They get off to a good start, right? You're off to a good start. You play well in the first couple of weeks. Things are going well. Team is winning. Pitching is showing up the way you expected it to. And now all of a sudden you've got this to deal with.
Go back and eat.
Just stop it.
What do they put in the clubhouse? Like, what can you snack on before games? Cookies?
Who has the better spread, the Patriots or the Red Sox?
Oh, Pats.
So.
Pat spread's good.
So.
Highly doubt it.
What, you have a problem with the PR spread?
No, I'm talking about for players.
Players.
Oh, I don't know.
Who has the better plane? Red Sox, no doubt.
Less people.
JetBlue.
To a
Do they
degree.
fly JetBlue? No. I don't think
JetBlue
they fly
Park,
Delta.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's the name of the park. I mean, they fly it.
That's a good question. I wonder how baseball teams are flying these days. It's probably less luxurious than some other sports.
So many.
There's just so much time on the
God.
road. But there's fewer people, and if they charter a full plane, it's like,
Right.
What would you prefer? All right, this or that. Quick this or that.
Yep.
Would you prefer a first-class seat or an entire 3-row seat in coach?
A 3-row seat. So I can lay down. A regular first class, you only put it back 3 inches.
Yeah, I kind of think I would prefer the 3 seats in the back. Now, McCone sits in the back. So
I was going to say, I'm kind of disqualified from this because I've never sat in a first-class seat before. I've seen what they look like, obviously.
You've passed
but-
us several times.
Yeah, as I
walked by
walked
us.
by you guys.
We
yeah.
high-five you.
Yeah.
We send you drinks back.
Yep.
Tell you to enjoy your flight.
I used to sleep. We used to take Northwest.
Hey, McCone, we'll send you a hot towel in a few minutes, all right?
Jim Murray texted me some drink tickets. Yeah, I got
That's
hooked,
nice.
hooked me up.
Yeah,
It
we
was
felt
nice.
bad for you back here.
Yeah.
But we used to fly Northwest as a team. And Drew and I would sit in the 3-row seat. But when it's time to sleep, I go on the floor. He goes on the seat.
Wait, what?
I'd lay down on the floor and stretch
Where?
out completely.
In between the rows?
Yeah.
And
He'd lay down on the seat. So we both at least get to stretch out and sleep.
Oh, so the two
I'd
of
put
you would have
pillows-
3 rows.
Yes.
And you would then lay on the floor and he would lay across the
Yeah.
seats. You guys are weird.
But
That
you
is
get a bunch of
weird.
pillows and blankets, you put it down. Like I'd knock out in a 4-hour flight back from the West Coast.
On the floor of the airplane.
Yeah, stretch right
so
out.
no one can get by you though, right?
Yeah, of course you could.
They step over him.
Yeah.
No,
Step over
my
his
feet wouldn't be any out.
So would you
Oh,
put your
alright.
head to the wall?
Head to the window. Yep.
Interesting.
Curled up, and if you need to put your feet back underneath that last seat, you can. Totally comfortable.
It's like bunk beds essentially.
Instead of sitting in a seat, sharing that middle seat.
Step brothers over here.
You can't do this. All roof activities. Yeah.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Zolak and Bertrand here. For more Red Sox analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.